Every single year, week 18 rolls around, and there are certain players that need certain amounts of yards, catches, touchdowns, whatever it may be, to reach their season-long incentives and get additional millions of dollars in their contract. Here are all of the crucial players you need to know in terms of how likely they are to happen, the numbers they need to hit, and we're going to break down how often they have hit these specific numbers. That's the most crucial piece of this. I got a list of 11 players I want to talk about. We're going to walk through their game logs, some game logs against for some of these teams as well, and talk about how likely it is that these players reach these certain projections. Before I talk about them, I am going to ride some of these. I probably won't ride all of them. If you want to see which ones I'm riding, there are links below to do it. If you're not following my Instagram, that's where all my player picks are. If I really like any of these players but don't absolutely love them, I might water a couple of them down and put them together in an entry that I will post on Instagram. As for the straight picks, there are a couple that say, okay, he needs, let's say, 40 yards to reach this incentive. I will be on that straight. Those will be on X, as well as the touchdown scores. Those are usually on X as well. There are links for those below. And if you want some bonus cash to make your picks with on these projections, Sleeper, Underdog, and Better Picks are all going to give you bonus cash if you join with code LEADS, L-E-A-D-S. Sleeper is going to give you a free half-yard pick with 11 free additional entries. Underdog is going to give you a free half-yard pick with a deposit bonus up to $1,000, and Better Picks is going to give you a free half completion pick and a $200 deposit match. It's free cash. Take advantage of it. And always, if you're not following me on Pick'It, that's where all of my picks are, all my bets are. Everything is on there. Without further ado, let's talk about these projections. I'm going to start with J.K. Dobbins. Came back last week, looked pretty good. J.K. Dobbins needs 58 more rushing yards for an additional $150,000 in his contract. What's crucial to note about J.K. Dobbins, the Los Angeles Chargers, they are playing for seeding. And the reality is, in the AFC, that 5 seed really matters. So let's look at what J.K. Dobbins has done in the past, what he has not done in the past, especially as it relates to a team in the Las Vegas Raiders that probably is going to be losing this game. And I think the Chargers will be able to take the air out of the football. So we go to game logs. J.K. Dobbins. Obviously, Gus Edwards is out now, but J.K. Dobbins has hit 58 yards. Let's walk through right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 5 times this season. Obviously, he missed 4 games, but there are 1, 2, he had 56, 3 had 50, 4 had 57, 5 had 40, and then 6 and 7, he didn't have that 58 number. Now, a bunch of these games, Gus Edwards had 6 carries in this one that he didn't get it. This Pittsburgh game, Pittsburgh's run defense is very good, much better than Las Vegas. Gus Edwards had 10 carries in this game, as many as him. Edwards took 27 yards away from him in this one. Edwards had more carries than him, so this is actually when he got hurt in, so don't need to worry about that too much. But J.K. Dobbins has hit this in, 6 or 5 of 1, 2, 3, 4, will be 12 games, 5 of 12 games for J.K. Dobbins. Now, when you look at basic rushing statistics in terms of rush yards allowed, let's check out the Las Vegas Raiders and how they compare to everybody else. Las Vegas Raiders, look at this. Almost in the top 10 in terms of defensively yards allowed. Yards per carry, 4.42. We can look at that in middle of the pack. They're not giving up a ton of rush yards in terms of rush attempts. Again, middle of the pack. They're not bad against the run. Definitely something to note. So J.K. Dobbins, 58 more rush yards for $150K. I'm going to rank each pick on a confidence meter from 1 to 10. For J.K. Dobbins, I'd probably give that 58 number a 7 out of 10, just because I do think it matters with Gus Edwards out, that obviously he didn't hit that number that much, but Gus Edwards playing and getting touches in literally every single game except for last week against the New England Patriots. 58 rush yards, I'll give it a 7 out of 10 in terms of my confident rating. Second player, Dante Fowler, half a sack versus Dallas. He gets an additional $1.5 million. So that's a pretty big one. Washington playing for seeding. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 as well. We don't need to dive too much into the data here because at the end of the day, offensive linemen across from you are going to be protecting their quarterback. So if they can stop Dante Fowler, they can do it. It's not like they're not going to try, or the Commanders will go out of their way to get him an additional sack. Maybe they blitz a little bit more, but that's besides the point. I think half a sack is very doable for a team that gets after the quarterback like the Washington Commanders do, but they're not great against the run. I think Dallas will run the football a little bit more in this game. I'll give this one a 7 out of 10 as well. Now, DeAndre Hopkins, this is fascinating because the Kansas City Chiefs may not play their starters. I don't know if they will or not, to be fully honest with you. I really don't. But 1 touchdown for DeAndre Hopkins in a game where the Chiefs could roll out their starters for, let's say, a quarter or 2 drives. $500K. $500K incentive just for a touchdown. Now he can get an additional $250 if he has 9 catches and another $250 on top of that if he has 140 yards. But to be honest with you, I don't really think that is likely by any stretch of the imagination. We can go look at some of the games DeAndre Hopkins has had, right? He has, unless my memory serves me incorrectly, he has not eclipsed 140 yards, definitely. But I don't even know if he's eclipsed 100 yards in a game with the Chiefs. No, he is not. The most he's had is 8 for 86 and 2 touchdowns against Tampa Bay, who is a very different team defensively than Denver. They're a man-heavy team. Obviously, Vegas is a man-heavy team too. He didn't really play much in that game, so we don't need to worry about that. But 4 for 56 against Denver the last time they played. Carolina, more man-heavy. He did score. Vegas 4 for 90. Okay, so there's the Chiefs high in yards. He had 90 against Vegas, but he was targeted a bunch. Look, if he gets a one-on-one in the red zone, I think they throw his way, but it's a matter of if he plays above anything else because we don't know if DeAndre Hopkins is going to play. If I had to rank this, well, if DeAndre Hopkins is playing, DeAndre Hopkins anytime touchdown, I give it like a 7.5. I think that is, I'm more confident in that, even though the odds are probably not as good for it. I know I'm going to give it a 7, but more as confident in him scoring and getting pumped the ball in the red zone if he plays compared to J.K. Dobbins' rush yards against the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, I think Harbaugh is going to be in a spot where, again, they're probably going to be winning, taking the air out of the football, and Gus Edwards is not going to take his touches, but they love riding the hot hand. Greg Roman has talked about that. They don't want to run Dobbins into the ground, especially if you're going to get a Houston team that's going to punch you in the mouth defensively in the first round of the playoffs, or Baltimore, for all I care. Like, they're going to need running backs. They're going to need fresh legs. So I think Hopkins, Dobbins, and Dante Fowler all around that 7 out of 10 confidence level. Now, Gino Smith is the 4th player. And honestly, this I might be the most confident in out of anybody, outside of Mike Evans maybe. But Gino Smith only needs here. Actually, it's very interesting. So Gino Smith needs 185 to eclipse his career high, and he gets a $2 million bonus, which is very interesting. We can go look at Gino Smith's game logs. He's been pretty good in terms of 185 plus passing yard performances. So we can go here. Gino Smith. It may be easier to count the games he has not had it in. 1. Scrolling through, he's had it in all of these before the bye. 2 and 3. And that was a very poor weather game against Chicago. Week 1 at home against Denver, another really good defense. Now we get to the Rams, who are a little worse through the air than they are on the ground. But Geno Smith, 185, I'd say I'm an 8.5 out of 10 confident in that one. But the interesting thing about Geno Smith is he needs his completion percentage to be above 69.5% or better to also get an additional bonus. Right now it's at 70.1%. So I haven't done the math on what his completion percentage needs to be in relation to his attempts and completions and the terms of sports betting lines in this game. So I'm not going to touch that. But it is important to understand that he may be a bit more conservative, even with that in mind. Confidence level in Geno Smith, 185 plus. I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10. Baker Mayfield, for this, he needs to be top 10 in 5 major quarterback categories, right? We can look up the Baker Mayfield incentives here so you can see it. But he needs to be top 5 in 5 categories. Let's see. Passer rating, touchdown passes, passing yards, completion percentage, and yards per pass attempt. All that says to me is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to throw the football a bunch. So I'm going to be on Baker's lines in a lot of different ways this week. I give his just general yards, catches, whatever it may be, probably an 8 out of 10. I feel confident in that. But 9 out of 10, I'm going to jump down Mike Evans. Mike Evans, 5 for 85. 5 catches, 85 yards to get a $3 million bonus. $3 million bonus. Let's talk Mike Evans game logs. Very important to note these two because, again, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be playing for the divisional title. They control their own destiny. It's not like they're sitting players. And truthfully, in that sense, they're not going to just air the ball out to get incentives because they got to win the game. But they're playing New Orleans, who's been really bad against wide receivers all year long. You can look at wide receivers on this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. We should probably look without Chris Godwin, but 5 catches in all but 1 game without Chris Godwin, and then 85 plus yards in 1, 2, Okay, so only 3 of 6 without Chris Godwin. But you look at some of these other games, 5, 8, 5. I guess a little bit less production with Chris Godwin in the lineup. This is the game he got hurt in the first quarter in that Baltimore game. But without Chris Godwin, 5 catches in all but one game. I like Mike Evans to have a big game. And again, I can look at his projections for you guys right now. But in terms of catches and yards, against the bad Saints defense, truthfully, I'm giving this a 9 out of 10 in terms of how confident I am. I'm going to pull up Mike Evans' projections for you guys right now just so we have it. Let's see. Might be a little too early to find the Mike Evans stuff. We're definitely going to try. My guess is it's 6 catches and above 90 yards. But again, it might be too early to find this stuff. Which again, so it is too early to find this stuff. Which again, guys, if you are not following my Twitter and my Instagram below, you got to make sure you do, because that is where all the picks will be when this stuff comes out. But in terms of 5+ catches, you want to put it in a parlay. Love it. 80+ yards. Love it. Here's where it gets really interesting. Actually, I'll talk Courtland Sutton before I talk the rookie pass catchers. Courtland Sutton only needs 82 yards for $500K incentive bonus. And again, the Broncos are obviously going to be trying. They're not going to bench anybody. Bengals play before them, so they don't have to worry about that. And they play, I believe, at the same time as the Dolphins, if I'm not mistaken. So in that sense, there's no way of knowing that. Let's say the Bengals lose to the Steelers, right? There's no way of knowing that they are into the playoffs, even with a loss. That's the reality of it. I'm actually going to double check the Week 18 schedule just to make sure that's the case. But I'm 99% sure the Broncos and the Dolphins play at the same time. Let me check. Yep, they play at the same time, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. So there's no way for the Broncos to know they have clinched a playoff spot without playing their game. They're going to put the starters in. Courtland Sutton, again, 82 receiving yards. We can look at some of the past performances. He has not been great, and the reality is anytime you want to lean into a Broncos pass catcher, whether it's a running back or a receiver, you are really rolling the dice. You're really rolling the dice. Because, again, look at these last 3 games. He hasn't even come close to 82 yards. But against Cleveland here, 102. Against Las Vegas, 97. Against Atlanta, 78. And, again, Vegas, Cleveland. He had 70 against KC. Kansas City, who is who they play this week. Baltimore, Carolina. These 5 teams, this stretch of 5 games right here that I just highlighted, those are man-heavy teams. And you see Kansas City's in there. They play Kansas City again. They're going to play a lot of man and probably going to be down some starters. Courtland Sutton's going to take advantage of that. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10 in terms of confidence rating for 82+ yards for Courtland Sutton. Let's talk. Actually, we do have one more, before the rookie pass catchers. Tony Pollard versus a Texans team that can't play for anything. They're the 4 seed. They're locked in. Now, he didn't play last week because of the flu. I think he's going to play this week, if I had to guess. 83 rush yards for $250K and then multiple touchdowns for an additional $250K. I don't think that's going to happen. But 83 rush yards. Here's the reality. Tajay Spears has looked really good. He's looked pretty good when he's played. But we should look at the Tony Pollard games with Spears in the lineup. So, again, we're looking for 83 rush yards. So, not here, not here, not here. Got one against Miami, another against Indy, and then Spears was out. Now, when Spears was out, Chestnut played, so it is important to note that. But when Spears is out, obviously his production goes up a little bit right here. 94, 128. Spears comes back, boom, starts splitting again. Spears is out, 119. Spears comes back, boom, nothing. Now, again, he can have those big games without Spears, but it's tough, man. I don't trust Pollard to consistently produce, especially if they're going to be splitting carries with Spears. They're also going to be rotating quarterbacks in. They might just rotate bench guys in this game. I don't love Tony Pollard, 83+ rush yards. I'll give that like a 6 out of 10. Colts run defense is all right. They're not great. They're not bad. They're all right. Tyrone Tracy ran okay against them last week, but I can't trust the production from Pollard enough. Now, Marquez Valdez-Scantling touchdown is $250K. He's been scoring a good amount, and now he gets a Tampa defense that has really struggled against wide receivers. I'm going to sprinkle on that. I'll tell you guys right now. I'm recording this Monday night. I'm sprinkling this for sure. But the last 2 we need to talk about, 3, I guess, Nabers and Brock Bowers. So Brock Bowers needs 9+ catches for the tight end record. Now, when you look at Brock Bowers and the games that he's had multiple 9-catch games. So it is possible. It's been done before. Like you can look at Brock Bowers here. You got 9 for 71. You got 13 for 126. You got 10 for 140, 11 for 99. He's been playing really well. Now, the Raiders got nothing to play for here. They got nothing to play for. So Maybe you pump the ball to Brock Bowers. You try to get him that record. I don't know if Antonio Pierce is the type of coach to do that, to be fully honest with you, but he's very much a player's coach, and that's important to note. 9 catches for the tight end record against a Los Angeles Chargers team that plays a bunch of zone. So I look at that, and again, Bowers is very good. He's good against both, but very good against zone. And I think it's very possible. I think that 9+ catch projection is very possible. I think that's going to be a plus value play when you get into it too. I probably will be on that. I'm going to give that like a 7.5 out of 10. Malik Nabers. So 2+ catches to break the rookie wide receiver record. Like, yeah, probably going to do that, right? He's 4 receptions behind Bowers right now in terms of rookie record. So if you want to make some type of Bowers, let's say Bowers gets 9 and you pull him. I don't know what the number would be for Malik Nabers to have 13+ catches, but he also has had multiple big games in terms of overall receptions, right? The yards have not really been there for Malik Nabers. Obviously, he cracked 1,000 yards last week, but you can look at some of the games with Nabers. 10-catch game here against Washington, 12 against Dallas. He got 9 here against Washington, 10 catches against Baltimore. So he's had multiple double-digit catch games. Truthfully, I don't know if I lean into that, but you look at the timing of the games, and the Giants play at 1 p.m. Eastern, and the Raiders don't play till 4:25. So if I'm the Giants, I'm going to pump the ball to Malik Nabers, and maybe you try to even just give him a chance at that record comparing to Bowers, but 13 is as high as I would go. And again, that's probably me plus a couple thousand to do that. But I do think Nabers, whatever his catch line is, going above that is very good. I like that a lot. And obviously, we will finish with Saquon Barkley. Does he play? I don't know. Does he get 100 yards? 105, excuse me. Let's go look. I think there is a world where the Eagles play him until he gets that number. Now, you can look at what he did against the Giants earlier this year. 176, and he got pulled in the fourth quarter. So I don't worry about that. If he gets in, he's going to hit it. But in terms of games with 105, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of 16 games with 105. If Saquon plays, I'm hammering it. That's the bottom line. Does he play? I don't know. But if he does, I'm hammering it. So those are the big incentives. If there are any more that you guys can think of or you like to ride, let me know in the comments. Those are the biggest ones, as well as the most realistic ones. There's ones where, like Austin Eckler, 150 rush yards to get an incentive. He's not going to get that. You can ride it if you want. I don't think Austin Eckler's going to rush for 150 yards. There's a couple others. A couple multiple touchdown ones too. So again, if you want to sprinkle that, be my guest. I can leave some additional ones in the comments that I may sprinkle as well. But you got to make sure you're following on Instagram and X. That's where all my picks will be. As always, I will have a full Sunday breakdown for the meaningful games coming out this Thursday. So again, if you're not subscribed, make sure to join the family and do so. But we will see you guys next time. Thank you again for watching this video. God bless you guys, and we'll see you soon.